right. Going back into the second bind up here for Berserk, I am halfway through, maybe a little more than halfway through the third volume, but I just wanted to get thoughts out right now while they're fresh about volume 2 before continuing on, and I'm dying to continue on. So I left off last time, where did I end on the last time? With Guts falling in the water. Yes, that's where I left off. So like I said, humorous moments in this series that I was not expecting, but considering we had the elf in the first volume, that really shouldn't have surprised me because he's hilarious and I miss him. It was around this point that I realized throughout this entire flashback arc, or in the past arc, Golden Age, I'm not getting my favorite elf, Puck, and I miss him, but I'm loving it so much that I don't mind that I'm missing my favorite character right now. So I like how we start off for this one. It says, in this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transitional entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least, is it true that man has no control even over his own will? Man takes up the sword in order to shield the small wound in his heart sustained in the far-off time beyond remembrance. Man wields the sword so that he may die smiling in some far-off beyond perfection. Or sorry, some far-off time beyond perfection. I don't really know what that means, but I feel it's going to make more sense once we get into whatever the hell Berserk is building up to. So we start off with a king and his men in a battle, and the Tudor dynasty, I guess, is invading an enemy kingdom, and they're wondering who can stand up against them. And they have this big general who's causing the most havoc, and no one can take him down. And then one man with a giant sword goes up to him and starts fighting. And you're like, God, I wonder who that could be. And to no one's surprise, Guts has left the raiders, who he is the commander of, to go in himself and fight this battle on his own. He is doing the work of an entire section unit of an army, and he's just one man, but he's doing it. And he, of course, takes these people out, does his signature cut through the enemy's weapon to get to the enemy and strike him dead. And it's wonderful. Of course, it's Guts. It's very much Guts. And his troop are so impressed with him. They're cheering. They're saying, that's our commander. That's our captain. Like, we're so proud of you. Good job. Missed you. You left us behind. He's just like, yeah, sorry for going out on my own like that. But I'm noticing them, like, hitting him on the shoulder, hitting him with the elbow, and just, like, he's letting his friends touch him, and he's not averse to touch, and he's making so much progress. I think, like, 3 years has passed now, and I love it. I love it so, so, so much. Casca, however, she's not so happy, because she's like, can I talk to your boss? So drags Guts out into private, and she starts berating him, screaming at him about how selfish it was. He wants to be, he's never satisfied unless he's the one in the center of the battle, fighting and swinging that sword around, acting like some big shot hero. And she's just screaming how he did not follow the plan. His forces and hers were supposed to come together to take on the enemy. He wasn't supposed to go off by himself. And he's just taking all this screaming. And I agree, you're in the middle of a battle. You should, like, stick to the plan and not go off on your own. But then she says something like, I agree with you, but you took it too far. She starts screaming like, you don't even care about your comrades. And I'm like, excuse you. And that's when Guts gets very angry, because he 100% cares about those under his command. I would almost argue that, yes, he is very much, he doesn't know how to handle himself if he's not in a battlefield, but he would also rather he be the one at risk rather than bring his troops in with him and have them at risk. Just saying. But Griffith comes in and tells Casca to leave, saying he wants to have word with Guts and understands why he did everything he does. But Guts apologizes. He takes accountability here. He's like, listen, I'm sorry for not following the plan and acting rashly, but, like, I do care about the people under my command. I care about my comrades. And, like, he comes flat and says that he cares about them, and I love that for him. Griffith said, I knew that you would do this. Even you acting this way was a part of my plan. And I'm like, I don't trust you. I don't trust you at all. But then we have Griffith getting knighted, and to go from, like, a common-born person, leader of mercenaries, now being knighted by the king and holding the standing up in the court and social society, blah, 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 is a big deal. And most of the Band of the Hawk recognize that, and they're like, oh, we gotta start, like, shaping up. We can't really be acting like mercenaries if our leader is a full-on knight now. We got some rank, we can't embarrass him. Guts is not there at all. He did not show up to the church for the knighting. He's out training with his sword. No one is surprised. But it has been too long since we had a good supernatural moment, so that's when we get the next one. We are in the middle of a battle, and I just gotta say, the panels in Berserk are incredible. Like, the page layout, there is so much going on. Battles are chaotic. It's hard to, like, see what's happening, but where your eyes go along the page, how things are laid out, it never feels like overwhelming and confusing and just like a mess. Everything is where it needs to be for a reason, and it doesn't feel like muddy on the page. I love it. I love, like, just the page layout in this series. So they start talking about how there is someone on the opposing side that's going to be causing a lot of problems, and there's, like, legends around him saying he's been killing people for hundreds of years, essentially immortal. And that's when we have Nosferatu Zodd. And I was expecting, like, the horror movie classic vampire looking villain. He does not look like that, but I'll give it a pass because this guy's actually pretty cool. I'm not really sure what to think about him. So Griffith's in a different area, and then when we cut to Guts, he's being held back by, like, no less than 4 men. And he's just like, let me go, I need to get in there. We sent 50 men into that area, and they haven't come out yet. There's one man holding, like, the group of raiders at bay. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is? Let me go, I'm gotta go in there. And like I said, his men are physically restraining him. He sent 50 people under his command to go to a certain area. They didn't come out. There's one guy in there who likely killed them all, and you have to physically restrain Guts to keep him from charging in. No, this man doesn't care about his comrades at all. No, of course not. Ridiculous. They're like, let us just wait until Griffith comes. We can get reinforcements. Like, no, that's completely embarrassing. I'm going to handle this. Guts goes off into this area where people have been literally torn apart. Not cut, not sliced, not, like, injured, like, ripped apart. And that's when we meet Zodd. And yeah, massive, massive man. It's also very interesting because normally Guts is the one man going against an army and causing everyone trouble. This time it's Guts' forces are having trouble with one man. But the fight starts, and it takes everything in him to, like, parry an attack, to block an attack. Like, he can barely do it. And this guy's just like, it's been a couple hundred years since anyone's ever been able to stop one of my blows. And he's like, yeah, it took everything in me to do it. I'm impressed. I'm very much impressed. It does make me wonder, though, if this had happened in the present day timeline with the Guts we were initially introduced to, would he be having this much trouble with him? I'm wondering what the skill difference is between the Guts we're following now in the Golden Age versus present day beginning of the story. How much strength the difference has changed, how much time has passed since Golden Age and present. You don't need to tell me, but I am interested in would Guts present day have an issue with Nosferatu in the past? Would he have had that problem? Not sure. So he ends up, again, signature cut through the enemy's weapon technique to get, and I think it's, like, into his shoulder. He stabbed him in there. And the Zodd guy is just like, it's been, 300 years since anyone's been able to stab me so deep? Like, you're a worthy opponent. I'm still going to kill you, but please know I appreciate that you've given me an actual fight here. And once again, Guts is doing everything he can to avoid just being slaughtered. He is shocked by this thing. He's like, this can't be human. He's a monster. He's transformed into, like, a minotaur demon-y looking thing, and Guts is shocked because I don't think it's very common. He may be searching for them in present day, but here he doesn't really get that supernatural beings are a thing. So when the Minotaur thing grabs him, the Minotaur Zodd guy is talking about how, oh, this is all the strength you've got, and almost disappointed. He's like, no, I guess you did well for the strength of a human, but you could never, like, stand up to me. And it just made me think about how in the present day he was, like, almost possessed by those spirits and for vengeance, and he's like, no, I will do this as a human. I will fight and I will win, or I will die as a human by my own strength. and that strength, Zodd is saying, wouldn't be enough. So I'm wondering exactly how strong he has to be to take down these supernatural things. I'm wondering also if in the Golden Age, at any point in time, is he going to make some kind of deal with a demon for power, maybe to try to protect maybe Griffith, but that resulting in like the Band of the Hawk getting killed. I'm wondering if it's going to be because Guts relied on supernatural powers that results in the death of his friends, which is why now he has to do it as a human. He didn't know that consequence would happen. Should I not be trusting? I'm going to trust Guts. I'm not distrusting him. But I'm wondering, is it Griffith's fault, or is it through like a contract with some kind of supernatural being that leads to the downfall? I see. This is why I'm saying it's good that we had that first chapter to know Griffith is the enemy. Because I need to know how. How do we get there? And I don't know. And I'm so excited. I love this series. Okay, despite me not trusting Griffith at all, he does come to the rescue, as he always does, with all the people with the crossbows to shoot at Zodd, and they are shocked at this monster. But they get too close, Guts tells them to run, they don't, a bunch get taken out, but Griffith runs in and ends up actually cutting off, no, he cuts off his arm later on. He gets to Guts. They have to separate to distract, and that's when Griffith gets Zodd's arm cut off, and Zodd's just like, two worthy opponents to fight me. I'm impressed. This will be a good battle. No one else interfere. But when Griffith goes to Guts to try to help him, because Guts is injured and can't really move on his own, that allows Zodd to get him from behind the side. He didn't see it coming. Griffith goes to the wall, knocked unconscious. Casca is screaming for him. And just as Zodd goes to finish him off, he looks at the egg thing and be like, oh crap. This cub has the crimson bell method, the blah, 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 egg thing. And thank you to the commenter who pointed out, I knew Griffith had the crimson one, but the one that we have in present day was not a crimson one. They're slightly different, so good note. I did not notice that previously. Then they start talking about like a prophecy. So let me get these words. Okay, so he's like, the egg of the kings, can't believe this cub has it. I don't know if Griffiths is even human, and this guy's like, oh, only another demon can have this. Like, you're playing with me. It can't be the egg of kings, a cub like him with the crimson behelit, whatever you pronounce it, the god hand. It's that kind of ploy. So it's that kind of ploy. Is it what ploy? Our battle is on hold for now, boy, but I wonder if I'll ever meet with you again. Here's a word of warning, no a prophecy. If you can be said to be a true friend of this man, then take heed. When his ambition collapses, death will pay you a visit, a death you can never escape. Then he goes like up out through the ceiling, and Guts is left wondering, like, my death? I'm going to die? And on the one hand, yes, my idiot sweet boy, you're mortal, eventually you're going to die. But on the other hand, I'm like, he has been like betting with his life in every single battle. He's come out on top every single time. He's still alive after all the crazy stuff that he does. So it kind of makes sense to me that he almost feels immortal and like he'll never lose. But I'm not quite sure. And I'm not really sure what it is that he saw because of this egg to take off leaving. I'm going with Griff isn't human. Like, he was never human. That's what I'm going with. Oh, before I forget. We also know in the future that Guts is marked with the mark for sacrifice. So I'm wondering if when his ambition collapses, and you have to sacrifice something that, like, a sacrifice doesn't mean anything if it's not something you value. So like the father sacrificed his wife and was asked to sacrifice his daughter, Griffith will have to sacrifice someone close to him, and it'll probably need to be two sacrifices. The first probably going to end up being Casca, the second is Guts, and Guts hasn't been sacrificed yet, so Griffith in the future needs to sacrifice Guts for whatever he's planning. So Casca is absolutely furious at Guts for getting Griffith in this position. Griffith is unconscious, she's screaming, and the next thing we're doing is we're cutting to people talking about seeing this demon figure leaving the battleground. The nobles are laughing. Oh, they were just seeing things. Nobles see Guts coming up, all bandaged, using his crutch. I don't even know if he must have his sword probably on his back. He wouldn't go anywhere without the sword. And they're like, hey, did you get those injuries fighting the demon of the battlefield? And Guts doesn't care. He just pushes through them, past them, nudges them out of the way. And they're like, so disrespectful. Taste my sword. He goes to pull out his blade. Guts just looks at him and he's like, you know what, never mind. I'm going to walk away. Guts is just having a bad time. He's pissed. He's on his way to see Griffith. But when he gets there, Casca and the other ones are talking about how the nobles are in there right now and other officials. We have to wait in line to see them. Guts is like, I'm not waiting. He goes up to the guards. They put their spear things in an X to stop him. And he's just like, I'm having a bad day. Knocks both the guards out. Continues to go to see Griffith. Is not stopped by anyone until Casca puts her hand on his shoulder, pulls him back, and punches him in the face and being like, you can't just do this. So he ends up leaving to, what's he do? Of course, he goes to go train. And it's not till later when Griffith has talked to all the officials that he finds Guts there on the stairs and is all like, oh, you've already recovered enough to start training again. I'm so impressed. I couldn't, and you were injured worse than me. And he's talking about how the officials were come to see him so they can get in his good favors and get something from him later. He says it's exhausting, but needs to be done. He needs to play, quote unquote, play the Game of Thrones, get ahead in society. And the cutest scene. I'm getting the words right. One more read from the book. So previously, Guts had asked, why did you save me? The reason before that you risk your life was because you had just gotten a new warrior. You didn't want to risk them already or lose them already. And Griffith is just like, why do you ask this? And Guts is, so you don't have a reason? None at all? And Griffith said, tell me. Do I need a reason each time I put myself in harm's way for your sake? And if that's not the cutest thing ever, and I love it, and he's just like, I'm protecting you, you're my friends. I love it. I don't trust him. I can't trust him, but I love it. He has these moments, so many moments where I'm like, God, you are manipulating me and it's working. I know you're manipulating me and it's still working. And I just think later on we have Guts up on a roof and he's holding his sword. He's looking out at the sky. I'm remembering how when he ran away from his first home in the bandits or the mercenaries after killing his pseudo father, nearly dying, shot in the shoulder. And he's just staring out at the night sky like the last time he chose to live was among the skies right before the wolves attacked. And now he's staring up at the sky with his sword and it's just like, I will choose to use my sword for his sake. And I love it. I love it so much. The author is manipulating me into caring about these two, and I know I'm going to feel the heartbreak and betrayal because of that. Oh, I swear the series is going to destroy me. It's going to destroy me. But the conversation's cut off when the king arrives with his group. And Griffith, who probably planned this, I do not trust that he didn't plan to be at this location, not necessarily to run into the king, but to run into the princess. But the king comes along with, I think it's the king's brother, Griffith immediately bows to him, and Guts does not, to which the brother is just like, how dare you stand in the presence of the king? Guts is like, all right, Griffith is bowing, so I won't embarrass him, so I'll bow. But the king's just like, no, we're just on a stroll. There's no need for that. He's humble. He's talking to Griffith. It's right, kind of casual. Not really equal footing, but at least kind. The brother is not having any of it. He is pissed that this man, or the king, is talking so kindly to a commoner, even if that commoner has now been knighted. And they continue on their path. That's when the princess comes. So the king calls her down. She comes through. She's right shy. She trips. And Griffith catches her, to which brother slaps Griffith because how dare you touch a princess, you commoner. Now, Guts nearly kills this man. The look in his eyes, he was about to kill this man, but of course Griffith called him off, so I really like that Griffith is the one person that Guts will listen to. So they say goodbye, and Griffith has now been introduced to the princess. I feel like he wants a kingdom. Easiest way to get a kingdom is to marry a princess. I don't trust this man at all. So, King's brother, I feel like it's Lord Julius, something like that. Definitely starts with a J. Overhears some of the servants talking and how much they're all intrigued and love there with Griffith for all he's doing. He sends them away. He hates hearing about this this commoner being raised up to like noble statue as a knight. And he's right annoyed. A minister comes along and starts talking about how the Band of the Hawk have been put in charge of this, protecting the king during this hunt. And again, Julius is right pissed. He's just going off how it's a disrespect to his group. How dare that honor be given to the Bands of the Hawk, a bunch of former mercenaries. It just isn't right. To which the minister's just like, yeah, but it will be a hectic thing. People shooting, accidents happen. Maybe if a loose arrow with some poison were to hit Griffith, that could end everything. And he's just like, loose arrow, hey? Stray arrow, shot in the chest, a little bit of poison. Good to know, yeah. So why is this minister planning to kill Griffith? What's going on? So angry brother of the king is freaking out. Not freaking out, but he's just always angry. He's got resting angry face. Is out during the hunt. Guts is complaining about how he'd rather be on a battlefield. This is so stupid, a waste of their time. Everyone else is just like, are you kidding me? One, it's an honor to be allowed to guard the king and his family. And second of all, we're not risking our life. This is what we've been working for. But Guts doesn't know what to do if he's not in battle, life or death, swinging the sword around. That's where he feels useful. That's how he gets admiration from those around him. That's what his worth is tied to, is his competence in battle, not in guarding. So he is just out of his element completely. Griffith is talking to the princess and teaching her how to make a sound and a whistle with the leaf. And yes, cute, but at the same time, stay away from the princess. I don't trust you around her. I get she looks 13, but she's really 16. I still do not trust him around her at all. I guess the boar that they're chasing freaks out her horse, which sends it running. Griffith has to go grab the reins and save the princess. While she's thanking him, stray arrow, straight to the chest. And I'm like, oh my god, it actually hit him. Shocked. Everyone is freaking out. Guts grabs the princess by the arm and starts shaking her, like, who did this? Where'd the arrow come from? She's screaming, I don't know, and everyone is upset. Casca is tending to Griffith, but then they realize that it actually hit the egg. And, oh god, that's some lucky. And they're like, yeah, I'll say, the devil's luck, what the hell is going on? He's like, no, nothing hit me, no poison got in me, very, very lucky of me. So that's all she wrote. And he gets a bunch of praise for protecting the princess, because everyone assumes that the shot had been meant for the princess, which is probably going to make the princess fall even more in love with him. I don't trust them. Lord Julius starts yelling at the huntsman guy with the arrow, saying, how could you fail like this? Now he's even more popular. Gotta try to find a different way to kill him. This was our best opportunity. He leaves, not knowing Griffith had paid one of the maids to follow Julius guy around, because he would be the only one who could afford the poison that was on the arrow to kill him. So Griffith calls Guts up and is like, hey, would you kill a man for me? And Guts is just like, obviously, who you want dead? Do you got someone specific in mind, or do you want me to pick someone at random? Obviously, I would kill someone for you. Name them. Technically, his actual words were, if you ordered me to, I would. But really, we all know, if someone threatens Griffith, Guts is going to kill them. So Griffith explains about the king's brother, needs him to be assassinated. It's very important that he's not seen. My immediate impression is you're giving this job to the wrong person. And clearly, Guts is not the best person to give an assassination job to. He gets a cloak, he has his giant, very identifiable sword. Why would you keep the sword if you're going on an assassin job, and that's very clearly your sword? So he follows the king's brother around for a bit and sees him training his son. And the emotion this brings to Guts, because he is not treating his son very well. He's being overly harsh on him in the sword fighting. And it's explained by one of the maesters saying, like, his Lord Julius's wife died, who was the mother of said child. They're both grieving. He's not handling it well. He's taking his frustration of everything that's happening in court out on his son. And Julius is just going on about, yeah, I need to change. I'm being too harsh on him. You're right. So a little bit of resolution there, but the maester's kind of looking out for him. And Guts is having flashbacks of training with Gambino about their childhood. So he's really seeing himself in this noble child. So when he breaks into the house there at night, and Lord Julius is drinking his wine and sees Griffith in the fire. Is Griffith a demon? I feel like he's not human. He is full-on demon. He has to be. Guts, very identifiable sword, comes up and allows enough noise to be made and enough time for the Lord Guy to grab a sword and try to fight back before cutting him in half. But he screams out, so someone hears the noise. The door opens. Guts does not think anything through, just stabs the person in the doorway, and I turn the page, and when I tell you, I audibly just gasp in shock of what happened. You don't even fully comprehend it at first. It's just, he stabbed the son. He stabbed the child, the one he just saw himself in, and Guts goes from, oh, I have to kill the person who just witnessed this, to, oh my god, he's in shock. And he holds his hand as he's dying, and he doesn't know what to do. But there's nothing that can be done. So all the trauma. Guts is just going through all the trauma as well. The soldiers come up. Guts has to fight his way out. The maester who had been speaking on the boy's behalf says, like, a robber, assassin, go after them. He can't get away with this. He is mourning this child, and Guts, again, fights his way out, more crossbows. People clearly see him and his giant sword. The only explanation I can think of is Griffith had planned for Guts to be seen, because there's no other way he would choose him as an assassin if he's not trying to get him to take the fall or be caught. I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense why he would choose Guts, other than he trusts him to get the job done, follow orders, and keep his mouth shut. Bleeding out, Guts falls unconscious for just a moment. Fever dreams, him and Gambino training and fighting, and then Zodd shows up and kills him and Gambino and wakes up to that. He then goes to find Griffith, who is at a banquet with Princess Charlotte. He's definitely flirting with her. They're at a fountain. He's talking philosophy and politics, and she's just in awe, completely smitten with him. That's when someone comes out saying that her uncle, Lord Julius, had been assassinated. She is distraught, but he has this evil grin in his eyes. Previously, he had also been mentioning about a friend being his equal, so that's also probably going to be important eventually, if whether or not Guts views himself as his equal, or if he views Guts as his equal. But Guts doesn't get to talk to him in this moment, and I don't know what they've got planned. I really don't. So the minister from earlier, the one who had initially told the king's brother to assassinate Griffith, actually starts talking to Griffith and talking about how they don't actually, or he doesn't think that the Tudor, the person who killed Lord Julius, was one of the Tudor assassins. He thinks it's somebody within the castle, and I laughed at how Griffith responded to this. Hang on. That's an audacious insinuation. That's a funny way of saying, how dare you make such an accusation to somebody? But he's not directly insinuating that it was Griffith who did it, but he kind of is, because he's also saying that the assassination against Griffith, or was against Griffith, not the princess, and he thinks that there's someone inside who assassinated the king's brother. So audacious to accuse somebody of the royal court of this. But it's such a good little scene that they're interacting in the hallway, and the minister guy is just like saying how he's going to have to find somebody else to kill Griffith, but even after thinking that he would be the one who hired the assassin, Griffith didn't even blink. And you're like, okay, what's going on? But then you see Griffith in the hallway, and he's got that demonic look in his eyes. This man terrifies me. I don't know why Mr. Floss guy, Baldy, wants Griffith dead, but maybe he can sense that he is a demon. Who knows? We then get Griffith with the princess again, and he's being so cute. This is what I mean. We go from demon face to him taking a little magnetic figure of a knight from the princess. It belonged to her mother originally, and the princess has the maiden half, and they kind of connect. So it's a symbolic, they are drawn together, so it'll bring you back to me kind of thing. And Griffith says the cutest thing ever. Oh, I could never accept something of such sentimental value. I can't accept this. The prince is like, no, please, you must take it. He's like, no, you misunderstand. I will have to bring it back to you when this campaign is over, meaning, yes, I will come back to you. And it's some sweet. I don't trust him around the princess. She's in love. She's completely in love. She tells Casca to protect him. Casca, of course, agrees, and they go off to the campaign to fight the Tudors. Mother shows up, the queen, and she's talking about how you're 16, you shouldn't be conversing with common-born people, and the princess is just like, don't tell me what to do, I will do as I please. I don't trust any of this. In the battle, Casca is actually targeted by a very sexist soldier of the enemy lines, and he is hilarious. He is constantly being belittled and is just pathetic, and I find it so funny how he's got this extremely long name. What's the name? I add on head of the Blue Whale, Ultra Heavy, Admiral Fierce Assault, Annihilation, Night Corp. And I'm like, what? And he's got like named attacks, Windmill Splitter or something like that. And at one point, Guts is fighting him and he cuts him off before he can like finish the named attack. I'm like, this guy's pathetic. It's hilarious. But he is targeting Casca because she is a woman commander. He is very sexist and doesn't like the idea of a woman in the army at all, let alone one with a bunch of men under her command. And they start fighting initially, but Casca's acting different. She can't fight him the way she usually does. Reason given is she's on her period. Now, I've never been in armed combat before, but not going to lie, I'm going to take that as a valid reason for why you can't move like you normally would. So I'm not angry about that explanation. Guts has to jump in to protect her, and they start fighting. He ends up splitting guys like head half almost, but still alive, sadly. But Casca ends up fainting. I am going to assume she must have been injured or already sick before the battle, not related to the period, because I can't see that making you faint. Guts goes to grab her as she's falling over the cliff, but Blue Whale Buddy has a crossbow and gets Guts in the side. So many crossbows get hit at Guts all the time. They fall over the cliff and land in the river, and Guts ends up having to swim in his armor that is going to rust and pull them both out of the water. Now they're going to be both hypothermic. He rips the arrow out. You really shouldn't be ripping arrows out of you. Like, I feel that's how you bleed to death. But rips that out, pissed at the guy who shot him, looks at Casca. She's not breathing, has to give her mouth to mouth. He brings them both into a cave, and they're both going to be hypothermic. So only way to do that, to deal with that, because they can't light a fire, because there's going to be people and enemies looking for them, is strip off all the clothes and huddle naked to conserve body heat there in the cave. Do I like the plot contrivance to get Casca naked? Absolutely not, but it fits for the story, and it's not like we're voyeuristic, lingering kind of vibe. Like, it's fine. I got no genuine complaints, especially I got a feeling stuff like this is going to happen throughout the series. Yeah, it's not pervy. I got no complaints. It's fine. So they're down there in the cave. Meanwhile, up top, Griffith learns that they have both gone missing, and he's put in a weird situation where all the outsiders, the knights and people of any political importance, are telling him it's an easy choice. We have to continue on this campaign. We can't spare the manpower to go looking for people who may be dead. But also, if they're as good as you say they are and they survive, they should be able to take care of themselves. So we have to keep going this way. Meanwhile, the Band of the Hawk are saying we need to send out a search crew. What do we do? We'll learn about that in the next volume. Back with Casca and Guts, she comes to and is very upset, punches Guts in the face, starts throwing things. And of course, Guts' way of handling this situation is, well, you don't want to feel embarrassed or anything like that. Feel anger instead. Whatever, you don't like the emotion that you're feeling, just focus on anger. So he starts insulting her, saying this is why a woman shouldn't be in a commander or battlefield or a soldier. You're hysterical. And again, I'm just thinking he's trying to get her angry to focus on something different. That's how I feel his mind works, because he's never had an issue with her being a woman before. So, but that doesn't work. She starts crying, saying, I did not choose to become a woman, or to be born a woman. And another fight ensues, and then eventually she's calmed down, she gets dressed, says, I didn't want to be saved by you. And he's like, God, this woman hates me so much. So he's like, all right, anger didn't work. Let's get her talking about something else. How did you join the Band of the Hawk to begin with? What led you here? And she tells a story about how she's from this small village that's on a roadside that's always getting raided whenever there's conflict because it's between two kingdoms. And so often they have to watch their village be raided and burned and lose everything that they've ever had while they hide in the mountains. And they're so poor that people are frequently starving to death. So when a nobleman came through the village and seen her and said, I want to take you back to my castle as a maid, her father is just like, one less mouth to feed, you're not all that use on the farm, yeah, I'll sell my daughter to you. So the nobleman buys her, takes her on the road, attempts to assault her, only for Griffith to show up, chop the man's ear off. He's like an angel on a horse from how he's always depicted. Griffith is always just described and shown to be so beautiful. So she is in awe of that. But it's like, he wasn't a knight from a fairy tale come to offer me a saving grace in hand. Instead, he tosses her a sword. And she's like, if you have something to protect, if you have the will to live, take that. So both the nobleman and her go for the sword. She gets it, and the nobleman ends up dead. She doesn't know if she stabbed him or if he fell on the sword, but she has the sword and he's dead. She's killed a man. And now Griffith's just like, you may do whatever you want. And she's like, let me come with you. And he's like, as you please. So that is how she ended up traveling with the Band of the Hawk and training with them and becoming a soldier and living with them, and why she admires Griffith so much and owes so much to him. So do I like the constant use of sexual assaults being used against her, as threatened against her, especially in the next chapters that I've already read? No, I don't like that. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of an easy plot device, but at the same time, this is the world we're in Berserk. Am I shocked? No, and I don't genuinely complain about it. It's just a thing that's happening. I hope it doesn't get used too much, because then it's just going to get boring. But I love this volume so much. Like, I am in love with everything that's happened in it. The art is gorgeous. People keep telling me the art gets better the further you go into the series. It's already flawless. It is so clean. It is so easy to understand what's happening between the fights, what needs to be in focus, and then you get these gorgeous, huge spread pages of scenery and just letting emotions breathe. I love the art of this book. I love the characters. And I have so many questions. Most of my questions are, what the hell did Griffith do? What's he going to do? How do we get from the first volume to where we are now? I want to keep reading. I need to keep reading, but if I keep reading, I'm going to need to buy more volumes, and they are very expensive. So that's what we got so far. Shouldn't be too long until I have review for part 3 up. I'm going home for Christmas. I don't know if I'll have time to film it before I head home. So I'll talk to you later.